Hi, my name is Casey Beater, and I'm going to be discussing the American with Disabilities Act and how it affects human resource practices today. So, the American with Disabilities Act, also commonly known as the ADA, is a civil rights legislation that was passed in 1990 saying you cannot discriminate against anybody due to their disability. This has been used in all aspects of life. It applies to jobs, schools, transportation even. It's the reason we can take service animals into restaurants. Personally, with me, I am an epileptic. I require some forms of accommodations, but I won't go into that right now. So what is a disability? A disability is any physical or mental condition or impairment that affects one or more aspects of life. It can be anything from being hearing impaired to needing a wheelchair. Title I of the ADA specifically covers employment. So let's talk about that. An employer cannot discriminate when making a job posting, doing interviews, or making hiring decisions. It is up to human resources to make sure that a job description is about essential abilities rather than physical abilities. And those physical abilities cannot be used unless they're absolutely necessary for the essential function of the job. For an example, I was a vet assistant for about 12 years, and there are things that are necessary for the job, like being able to get on the ground, being able to hold the animals, things like that. So obviously it would be required in those kind of positions. Accommodations have to be made for an employee, and even during the interview process, you would have to make an accommodation. Those accommodations can be as simple as a sign language interpreter or a wheelchair accessible interview room. A requirement of the ADA is providing reasonable accommodations to an employee. It is up to human resources to assess the needs of that employee and provide those accommodations. Now, the ADA has really specific guidelines on how you handle medical information. It is confidential, and HR has to keep the information confidential, and it also has to file it separately than the employee's original file. HR is required to create clear anti-discrimination policies, to communicate those and make sure they're enforced. So what happens if you fail to comply? Companies that fail to comply with the ADA are more likely to have legal action against them. So they're going to get lawsuits, penalties, fines. Their reputation could be tarnished. You can face all kinds of legal action. But to sum up, the American Against Disabilities Act is more than a legal requirement. It is a framework for building a fair and inclusive workplace. And it's up to human resources to make that happen. They are on the front lines of making this happen. They make sure that there are accommodations so that we have inclusivity, we have equality in the workforce, and it even makes it where people of all different backgrounds can come in. It increases the diversity that there is in the workforce, and it just makes sure that everyone can thrive no matter your disability. And I personally love that about the American with Disabilities Act. I think it is very important. It's given people opportunities that they may have never gotten, and it has changed lives. Thank you for your time.